Brewer's seat anyway, that's what Rick always says.
He's not
Rick
gonna
said
be here.
He's not gonna be here.
No. He said he was behind 2 weeks in work and he's gonna try to get caught up today.
Commissioner Burrell's gonna be about 5 minutes.
Said you could handle it, Mr. Kerman.
Tom's doing fine, how about you, sir?
Tom, okay, he said you could take his spot.
Rick said that? Well, then I have to move back over here.
Makes for a tighter video shot if you all stick together.
Well, you better make it look good.
Good, thank you. Good, thank you.
I'll call the meeting to order for Public Safety Committee. This is the quarterly meeting. It is April 17, 2019, 3 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Rick Brewer, Dawson Fields,
Here.
Mike Correll, Raymond Jesse,
Here.
Tom Kern,
Here.
John Metz,
Here.
Charles Thacker.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 members present constituting a quorum.
Thank you. We'll now accept approval, motion for approval of consent agenda.
Motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Fields. Second by Commissioner Thacker. All those in favor, please state the same aye. Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Minutes, we will not have minutes to approve today from the prior meeting. Next time we meet, we'll have last meeting and today's prepared for approval at that time.
They were just mailed out yesterday, and John and I didn't think it would be enough time for you all to go over those. You got that?
So I know Commissioner Harrell is on his way. He'll be rolling in here in just a couple of minutes, but we'll just go ahead and move on. He can catch up. He'll be quick. Mr. Merle, you turn the floor over to you for the EMA quarterly report.
We'll use the table this time. This is going to be a little lengthy. Okay. All right. It's in the last meeting. I apologize for having to bring it up in the last meeting. I got confused. I thought our last meeting we had here was a quarterly meeting. I didn't know it was a special call meeting for the EMS application. I apologize for that. Follow along with that, our PA damage from our flood event that we've had has went into the federal government. Myself, Lowell Bean, Ocean Electric, Rescue Squad, Sheriff's Department, several other agencies has got all their figures in to our matrix to turn into them as soon as we get the declaration. Hopefully we're going to get some of the money back. I know Mr. Beans is coming in a little bit cheaper than what he anticipated on the front end, which is good. He's going to look good in the FEMA's eyes that we've not as high as it originally stated. That would be a good thing. I'd also like to recognize in here in this meeting, and I'm also going to try and do it in the county commission meeting, I'd like to recognize the tax assessor's office, property assessor's office, excuse me, Jeff Thacker and his employees for the role they played in doing the damage assessment part of the flood event. They spent 4 days, three of his employees and one of the mayor's employees spent 4 days going around to 151 homes and assessing them, which you all know is that we didn't get anything from it, but that was a job that had to be done, whether we got it or not. Okay. Got several of the volunteer fire departments has come to me and asking me about helping them write grants for the AFG grant program. I talked to Mayor Lee about this. He said that he didn't have a problem with me assisting them, as long as there's no charge to them whatsoever for that. The question that I've been asked by several of them, and I think this is the committee that's got started, is they are wanting to know if there is any way possible that the Hawkins County can help them do the match part of the grant, which is a 5% match of whatever they apply for. I know the most recent one was EMS. You all got, was yours 5% or is 10%? The fire departments is going to be 5% matching grants. So as I say, I know one of the departments has got one that's $103,000 is what they're asking for. So you're looking at about $5,000. It's just something that I think I need to bring your all's attention, because that's going to come up. That's going to start probably July, August, really getting it pen to paper. We may need, keep talking about this, seeing if there's anything that can be done for the fire departments. Because that is one big question. There's several of them that's got issues with their turnout gear. The air packs is outdated. They're going to try and get the grant, but as you know, and I know county money's tight, their money's tight too. They get little around $19,000 a year to operate on. They couldn't afford to pay $5,000 or $10,000 extra just to get equipment. And with what they've brought in so far, since 2005, it's been a little over $2 million worth of equipment to this county. And they have spent about $134,000 of their money, their funding, their hamburgers, their donuts, or whatever they've done to get this. And the county has been asked 2 or 3 times to help them, and they've never got an answer. So that's one thing they want me to bring up. They don't have a representative here today, but they was wanting to get that out to the Public Safety Committee. Something to just keep in mind that we may need to look at down the road. Okay, my last thing here is got Hancock County 911, Jamie Stanford, director here. We have a tower site down on Clinch Mountain that has a building that has a tower that only has one of our county agencies in it, which is the school board. We moved, all of our stuff is moved to Short Mountain. He's coming here today to start the process to see if they could, some way we could work out something with them for Hancock County to utilize the Clinch Mountain site as a backup site. Is that right, Jay?
Backup side, or just, whatever, we are so remote.
I know you've
I'm
got
down on my back, so you just have to, that's why I'm late and everything. Mobile Communications is trying to get us a grant for some new equipment. Communications have been to Hancock County. We don't have a lot of revenue. We have a battery backup at our mobile site, or our site. A few years back, was it 3 years back, when they stole the copper? They stole the copper out of it, so we was out of radio communications for a couple days anyway. So we're trying to get a second repeater and have a better outlook on the future. And that's what we're just, if we could get in this tower, it would maybe save us from having to, erect a new tower. The building's already there. I don't know what we'd have to do to come up with some kind of agreement, but that's what we're kind of seeking.
Sir, I'm sorry, I wasn't really paying attention. I'm writing notes and wasn't listening to what he was saying. I'm sorry, sir.
You're fine. We're needing a second tower. We have one tower for Hancock County. It don't go to Kyle's Ford. There's a few places that we just don't have the wattage that we need. And we're asking to work out some kind of agreement to use your all's tower at the fire tower on Highway 31.
I don't know what that means. If you like, I can search the web for.
Sorry. We put in a grant with the mobile communications. They're going to try to get us some new equipment to go in if we can get a tower. But naturally, we don't have a great lot of funding up there. I don't know what kind of agreement they could work out, you know, there's already a building there, the tower's already there, that would help our cause tremendous, you get me? So I'm just asking, you know, if we can come up with some kind of agreement to use that, or if that's even possible.
I don't see any problem with that.
That's, like I said, the only thing that we have in Harris County now is the school board, and that's it. We have a generator already, it's maintenance there, the tower's there, the building's there. It's secured, fencing and everything.
All we would need to do is to have an agreement between both counties, and of course, you would take care of your own equipment and that sort of thing. We can have our attorneys to draw up some sort of agreement that your county would agree to. I don't see a problem with that.
Do we have a maintenance agreement on that generator now? I can't remember if we do on that one.
I don't have one that I take care of here, no. So I don't know if somebody else does that or not, but we don't.
I think, I've dealt with Jamie with Hancock County. It's a positive that could come out of this if we could work something out with them by bringing them over to our old existing tower that we have a building, is they have a site on Newman's Ridge that we might be able to at a later date get into as a receive site for our system, which would make ours even that much more robust across the mountain. That's a possibility there. I don't know. We talked about that several years ago before we got the system we got now, but that would be a plus of something that could work out where both parties could agree on something like that. We could get use of their tower with our equipment, they get use of our tower with their equipment.
Beneficial for both counties.
Yes.
Hey, sorry, what was your last name, Jack?
Stanford, STANIFER.
Thank you.
Need a motion from this committee to move forward on that and get Mr. Phillips involved.
Yes, we can ask him. I think what we need to do is to kind of get together with Gary and you, or whoever your representative is going to be. I don't mind helping you with that. We'll put together some information. Mr. Phillips can help us with putting something together for you all to review.
You don't really need any action from this committee at this time, I suppose.
I guess what we probably need to do is go ahead and do the agreement and then bring it back to this committee and let you see if you are in agreement, and you can make a recommendation to county commission, because the agreement will have to go before the county commission for approval.
And that being said, I'll just throw this out here too. I think Granger County is going to be coming probably at our next quarterly meeting to discuss the Short Mountain site. They're already on Short Mountain, but their stuff is out in a box about as big as a recording system out on the pole. So they may be coming also. And actually, Granger County is our 911's backup for this area here. So just throwing that there too also. That's all I'm going to make. Unless y'all got anything, I'm sorry.
Any questions from the committee concerning what we just discussed?
I think we need to bring it back, let them do what they need to do with the character, and then bring it back to this committee.
Moving on to safety designee report. Mr. Murray.
Okay. Due to recent personal sickness we had in our family, we had to reschedule our last TOSHA visit, but he showed up and March 8th, had a visit from TOSHA, and he visited the bus shop and the school maintenance shop out here, which was the first visit to the bus shop since they had moved from Main Street. So y'all know how long that's been since it used to be on Main Street. They found some very, very minor violations at both places. We got the form from TOSHA. Told us what needed to be corrected. It was corrected pictures, and a statement from the school superintendent, Mr. Matt Dixon, was sent in, and we have been released of all those obligations. Training for solid waste was held at the recycling center for his employees, John's for tow motors and fire extinguishers. And my understanding is we're going to try and have a training at least once a month, if not every other month, for his employees. And that are at the solid waste center. And our local government insurance pool people, Mr. Mark Fogarty, and then we'll be starting back sometime this month, coming in here to do inspections with us. But we're still doing our county inspections. We're going around looking at things that can be changed safety-wise to improve, and so they can't find it when they get here. It's very minor things that we look at, and that's what we're doing right now.
Gary, the training on the fork trucks and tumblers and stuff, is that when they get trained, do they get like some kind of license or something? If somebody from OSHA rolls in, like, I've been,
It's not OSHA, it's the local government insurance. It's not an OSHA top price. We can get those if that's what was required, but local government only requires their class.
okay.
And that's the reason, and it's free, and it's taught at their time when they can do it, or whatever OSHA comes in and teaches it, it will be at their time. And they're expensive.
But they do get a certificate that says they have completed that insurance training. They do have that document.
I just did, that's what I was wondering if they had something they had to.
It's not like an OSHA 10 or 30-yard class. It's-
Nobody's gonna roll in on them and say, let me see this, why you doing where you at, I guess.
That's it.
Thank you.
Sheriff's quarterly report, if there's anyone here for the sheriff's department. 911 quarterly report.
I really don't have anything to report, Mr. Morrell.
Do we need to discuss what me and you talked about, or do we need to?
We'll leave that up to you.
Well, we might as well stop that again. You want to just come up here and help explain this? At our 911 meeting the other night, we discussed, what would happen if we didn't get the $175,000 from the county. And, it's come up, we have notified the state, and if we do not receive the $175,000 from the county, the state is suggesting that we give the dispatch to the county. So with that said, if that happens, we're gonna have to figure out a way how the county's gonna pay for dispatch. If it ends up being that way, and I guess we're gonna have to figure it out before we do the budget. So, and I'm gonna briefly go over the letter, but more or less what's gonna happen if the county don't, right now they're paying $175 for us for 911 dispatch. And if that don't happen, 911 will not be dispatching for the county. And as of right now, it'd just be the EMS because they pay 911 to dispatch. You said me many times. And also, it has been informed us from the state that all the equipment and everything that's at 911 central dispatch will remain there, so that means if the county don't, give a contribution of $175,000, well, we will also have to put in the budget how we gonna buy equipment. And I guess the employees and whatever else we're gonna need to do dispatch for the county.
But, back in probably 92, somewhere in that range, there was, I believe at that time, there was 65 cents added to everybody's phone bill. I don't know what it is.
And I know where you're going with that, so let me just jump in there if you don't care.
But now, at that time, it was supposed to be used for dispatch.
That
They may have changed it
Right,
since.
that 65 cents that was on your phone bills is for 911 only. When 911 came in, it was voted in by the county, and that is to answer those 911 calls only. That surcharge on those phones went to that 911 only, not for dispatching. When Central Dispatch started in '93, they went to what we call a direct dispatch method. That means that the calls come into Central, those calls are dispatched by Central. That was what the board of directors at that time elected to do, and it was in their power to do that. And that's still the case now. On your phone bills now is a straight $1.16. That's for service, 911 service, which was voted on. What Mr. Harrell is talking about is the actual dispatch. Remember, I told you all several times that we have two different offices there. We have dispatch and we have 911. If the county or the agencies chose to go back and do their own dispatching, 911 will still be there. That building will still be there, that equipment will still be there, we will still have employees. Because somebody has to answer those calls. It's up to the board of directors how they're gonna handle those calls once they come in there. We have direct dispatch is what we do now. The relay method is what we do with Rogersville City. And then a transfer method. That's what the board of directors can vote on to do if we don't have the contribution of $175,000, like Mr. Harrell was saying. But again, I want you to understand, there are two agencies there. And it's all working out of one budget. So you're still gonna have those people. They're gonna still have jobs. There's still gonna be a 911. It's just those calls will be dispatched somewhere else.
Like where?
That wouldn't be up to the 911.
I know what you're saying is you'll get calls coming in, but you won't be dispatching anything out.
No, sir.
It'll be wherever the county decides to set up a dispatch. They will refer their calls to here.
To the
or
sheriff,
wherever
or wherever it may be, have it.
You can call in one place and get transferred to another place.
Exactly.
So,
And then you might keep in mind right now, if anything happens, all liabilities on 911. If the county takes over and something happens, the county is responsible for all.
I would like to see that original resolution in 92 or whatever, and see how it reads. Because I'm almost positive it stated that it went to dispatch.
I don't know about that anymore.
92 was before me, so I don't know. But I know that the 65 cents on your phone bill, anything that was on your phone bill went to 911 service.
Yeah, but I think when we approved that, it was to be used for dispatch.
Now, I know that the 911 board was set up prior to, I'm thinking I've even seen minutes back as far as 91.
How many employees you got now?
I have got 10 full-time, 1 part-time. Well, let me rephrase that. 2, 3, 8 dispatchers, 12, I'm sorry.
You got 2
We got-
part-time
I have 1 part-time.
and how
It's
many
myself and I
full-time?
have 2 office staffs, that's 3. Then I have 2 on each shift. Teresa, my tack, and then I have 1 part-time. So we will still, 911 would still have the same amount of employees. And that money that we received from the state, the $734,580, will still come to 911. So we'll still function with that money. The only thing that we will lose is the $175,000 from the county if they choose not to give that contribution. So we still will be working within our budget, cutting out that money.
Where is this concern initiated from?
Well-
It's not come before this committee or budget committee?
Well, that's why I'm doing it now, because I think it's fixing to be an issue, because I have talked to the mayor, and I don't know if he's gonna, I mean, it's gotta be county commission approved to take it. But, I mean, I have talked to the mayor, and I'm not for sure what he's wanting to do with it. So I'm just giving you a heads up, if this happens, we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do, so. I don't wanna wait till last minute after the budget's done and all that stuff, so.
What is your average salary for your people?
It depends on their length of service and their training.
Well, I'm talking like 10 employees, for example.
The proposed budget for this year, I'm looking at $508,412. Now, you take my salary, my administrative personnel, and then knocking out of that, because we are actually 911 employees at that time, leaves you with $349,781, that is dispatchers.
So they're roughly $39,000 for
300.
10 employees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, like I said, we're just giving you a heads up, what might be coming, we don't know yet till, I mean, just something to keep on your mind the 175,000 is not given back to 911, so. It has to be county funded somehow to do the dispatch.
It's a one time, it's every year, it's gonna be
Every year.
Every year,
Every
the county gets 175.
This is what some people don't understand though. I mean, I know, I think all of us do here, but a lot of the general public don't. Is when $175,000 for any entity, doesn't matter what it is, falls under contributions, that means it's a gift. And that's what this falls under, $175,000. That's the same as a gift.
Yes.
I mean, you fund it or you don't fund it. You can or you don't have to.
But you gotta keep in mind, the state has also got a maintenance of
Oh, I
effort there
know.
too, so,
Well, most of them do. I know the library do.
yeah.
If we can, Jamie, do you know what, Michelle, I know you, do you know what your budget is for 911?
It's around 220,000.
220,000, and you all dispatch out of the sheriff's department, correct? Right at this point. And you have the sheriff's department and EMS and fire, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's 5 per time.
How many employees?
I got 5 plus temporary, or part-time. There's one time, we don't have backup, there's one person at a time.
One person.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Hancock County has one person per shift on there. And James kind of set up a little bit different than we are here. They are working out of the sheriff's department. But, that is Hancock County. I think what Mr. Harrell is trying to say, if I can, let me step
Go ahead.
is, and you're exactly right, it's a gift, it's a contribution. But when you stop and think about $175,000, and this is what I was talking with Danny Alice about the other day, $175,000 versus the county taking your dispatch, you're gonna have to have those employees. You're gonna have to have those benefits. You're gonna have to have that equipment. You're gonna have to have all of that. Versus $175,000 and the liability, because we take all liability off of the county. That's what that interlocal agreement is. I mean,
Has that been executed? Interlocal
no,
agreement?
I guess
No. Which, I mean, we got till June
June
30th, yeah. So,
What's the equipment, just out of curiosity, what's the price tag on that? What would that actually? I agree, as of right now, I think the same way you do, just out of curiosity, what would the equipment cost?
I
If it went bad, cause there's just 7 of us, and if it comes down to it, there's 21 gotta go through, you know what
I
I'm
have
saying?
no idea, because this has never come up before about taking dispatch back. But you'd have to have a way to take those calls in, transfer that Annie and Ally, which is 911 terms, I apologize. And then you'll have to have radios and a tower. You'll have to be able to give that call out. It's not a matter of just taking a phone call and it's there.
There's a lot of upfront money, a lot of overhead to start out, we had to do that, so.
I had to go in, we had a lot of equipment that wasn't up to par, so we had to change a lot of that stuff, and we spent quite a bit in small boxes. It's very expensive in getting it set up, you could so spend a bunch of money. Cause I know we've had to go through a lot of this process also. I've been doing this for a little over 3 years, and our CAD system, what was it, Michelle, $100,000? For like one smile system was like $100,000.
Seems
And
like
see,
it'd be-
that, all that equipment stays at Central that we already have,
Yeah,
so.
It seems like it'd be a big unit.
Well, man, like I said, we're just giving heads up what could happen, might not happen, but it could happen. And we just don't wanna be sitting at the last minute and throw it out there. Wanna make everybody aware of what's going on.
Thank you. Hawkins County EMS quarterly report.
I believe each one of you received a copy of our call volume for the past 3 months, which is down considerably compared to the previous year. Also, it shows our average response time for every call that we have actually arrived on the scene to, on the second page. Other than that, that is actually all that I have for the public safety, unless y'all have any questions.
Any questions? Supposing none, thank you. Hawkins County Rescue Squad quarterly report. No representation from the squad. Fireman Association quarterly report. Churchill Rescue Squad quarterly report. Now we'll move on into EMS franchise application. Last meeting we had, this committee approved that I contact Dr. Jones about reassembling the ad hoc committee of the EMS exploratory committee that we put together a few years ago. I just contacted him, let him know the wishes of the committee. And since I have drafted the resolution that will go in as an out-of-order resolution on Monday night, which I don't, none of us like doing out-of-order resolutions, but this is an item that really couldn't be helped because we needed to give time to try and recruit those individuals to see if they would be interested. So I have formulated that. I've left the names off until we hear from Dr. Jones. Because naturally, I think we've all concluded and agreed that we want to make this as apolitical as possible and not allow outside influences to affect it. So with saying that, I will turn the floor over to Dr. Jones.
Mr. Metz, I appreciate the opportunity and Public Safety Committee to do this. What I did is I contacted all of the previous members of that committee by email to see if they were interested in serving again and told them what we were going to be working on. There were a couple that I did not send the email to simply because they're not involved in Hawkins County business at the present time. I had a good response rate. Do have one new member, and those members, when I looked at it, comprised probably 160 or more years of medical and emergency medicine. So quite experienced, quite detailed bunch of people with a lot of input that have agreed to serve. Dr. Rick Mihalik up in Churchill has agreed to serve. He is a retired cardiovascular surgeon, and he at one time helped set up the EMS in Davidson County. Stacy Mahan, a lot of y'all know Stacy with his experience up in Sullivan County. Ralph Darnell, he served the last time. Mr. Darnell is a former NASA engineer. Jackie Charles, who served as a community activist in many things over the years, currently serving on the Hawkins County School Board and with Rural Health. Tim Strange, who is the Dean of Public Safety over at Walter State Community College. He was on there last time and has agreed to serve again. Bill Killen. Bill is a former fire chief for NASA and has been associated with the National Fire Chiefs Organization for many years. Bill from Churchill, he has agreed to serve. Ed Alvis is back with us again. Ed is a retired registered nurse. For how long, I don't know. He'll probably get back into something again, but Ed's also had many years of EMT training. So he offers a lot of experience as well. And then the last one that has agreed to serve was not on our previous committee, Mr. Patrick Chipwash. He is a retired ethics investigations manager for Southern California Edison. He's a former TVA, EMT, and EMS assistant instructor and a former ARC CP instructor provider. So he has experience as well in this area. So we have all agreed to come together to prepare what this committee charges us with and get back to you on a regular basis and let you know. As a matter of fact, I have our first meeting set for April 23rd, if you approve us as a full county commission on Monday, April 22nd. We're wanting to go ahead and get started in on this and start gathering information and putting together a plan and proposal to serve the citizens of Hawkins County in the best way possible for EMS services.
Thank you very much, and those individuals that are willing to serve, we greatly appreciate their time and lending their experience to the commission and the county as a whole. Do any committee members have any questions?
I appreciate his effort, and it sounds like you've got very qualified people to work with this, so I appreciate it.
The last time we did this, Mr. Thacker, we had an amazing amount of input from all of these individuals and from different resources, from our local EMS folks and rescue squad to state EMS. We had access to all kinds of numbers and figures that we could use to make decisions. So I think we'll do you a good job again.
We appreciate it.
Dr. Jones, who was the first name you said?
Dr. Mahalik, I'm sending that she made copies for me. She's sending that around.
Where do you conduct your meetings at, Dr. Jones?
I've asked Sarah if we could meet here.
Yes, okay.
Mayor Lee's agreed to let him meet here after hours. He will be here with you as well.
Okay.
That's what I was going to recommend.
As the committee had time to read over that resolution, just want to make sure you're okay with that before it's brought forth Monday night.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send it on for Monday night meeting.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thacker, second by Commissioner Fields. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? We'll have this prepared. I'll send it out in an email to everybody, just so you got it ahead of time. I despise having to do an out of order resolution, but in this instance, we don't really have much of a choice. And once again, I greatly appreciate the time and effort that you've already put into this. We look forward to hearing from you and your committee. If no further questions or concerns about EMS at this time, well, there is one thing. Do we need to look at doing a 90-day extension on franchise?
Probably we would need to do that, and I would suggest that we probably need to do that by resolution, just so that there will be a paper trail of what was agreed upon. And you could do that next month, so you wouldn't have it out of order if you want to.
Well, let's just go ahead and discuss that now. If the committee would like to do that, then that way we can have that prepared and everybody knows what's coming down and it'll be presented next month if the committee is in agreement to do a 90-day extension on to the current franchise.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we do a 90-day extension for current franchise.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Fields,
I'll second that motion.
a second by Commissioner Harrell. All those in favor, please state saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Okay, we'll work on that resolution and get it prepared for input onto the agenda for next month. Okay, now I asked last month about putting on the agenda about animal control. I know that many of our municipalities have animal control departments now. Seems like this is quite an extensive issue out in the county. I didn't realize it was as big of a issue until here just recently, but seems like there is a lot of effort also placed on the sheriff's department with a much larger volume of calls about that particular issue than what I realized also, which is certainly tying up significant manpower in doing that. So I kind of wanted to just quickly have an informal conversation about what we might want to do as far as moving forward on this. I know we have some commissioners that are BMA members. Mr. Kern, I believe you're a BMA member for Churchill. Mark DeWitt, I know, is Rogersville, which has animal control. So I don't know if the first order of business would just be getting some informal information from the cities, or if you'd like to opine on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be more than happy to furnish some information. Right now, we have an animal control officer that works, I think, about 4 hours a day. His biggest thing is, of course, picking up animals on the street, whatever, run over, whatever. And lots of times the city has to assist him in that. He, as far as complaints, we do listen to complaints and everything. Police department for dog leashes, things of that nature. So it keeps him busy. He's, if it gets out of hand, as far as an irate somebody, then that's where our police department would step in and investigate that. But basically, he's seeing that people comply with dogs on leashes in parks, picking up the animals on the street and everything and whatever. And we spend a lot of money bringing it to the animal shelter every year. The only thing we're having a lot of trouble with now is cats. And cats are feral, and we have just about come to the conclusion that we're not going to pick up cats, because of that situation. Dog is a different thing. And it's a little tricky because you're dealing with, just like I have a neighbor, they said our only child's our pet, and I respect that. And I'm sure they respect it as that, but then we have people in the park, which I live on the edge of the JC Park, and we see a lot of people coming that comply, a lot don't comply, so you gotta make the feel there. It's the rule of thumb. Most of the time, if someone's out of compliance, they're a little bit testy, rather than getting educated. So it's animal control says a lot of words, big words. But it is working for us. We're very fortunate to have a good animal control officer.
And my thought is, is there an opportunity where some option could be available to where collectively as county municipalities could work together to figure out what the potential possibilities could be. And naturally today we're not working towards any solution. I'm just kind of opening up conversation. I know Commissioner Alvis you've been involved with Humane Society for many years, so I know you've got some extensive experience in dealing with that situation.
Yes. What was your question, John?
Well, I'm just kind of wanting to open up informal discussion here, maybe gauging the public, some of the commissioners, BMA members on what our options might be. Maybe even looking at what some of the other surrounding counties are doing now. Correct me if I'm wrong, are we, and this might be a question for Mr. Merle, are we one of the only counties in this region without animal control?
I don't know for sure, Grainger County, I know Hamlin, Cobb, Horseman, Sullivan, all of them has animal control. Spoke with you about Hamlin County, Washington City, they're together, Washington City, Hamlin County. They have, theirs, Washington County is a real, it's by the letter.
Gary, what are the guidelines?
Mr. Baker, I don't know on that. It's like I told Mr. Metz, I didn't want to get involved in the dogs and cats. I've got enough to do is dealing with people.
Well,
I'm gonna help, but there's gonna be guidelines that you can choose. It's just like Mr. Kern's saying, they're having issues with cats overruns a humane society or it overruns a shelter anyway. But, there's guidelines they have to go by, which they do, and I'm sure you can add to or whatever you wanna do to your organization or how y'all see fit. It is becoming a more and more of a big issue in our county. I mean, it's growing.
And in defense of that, I would say at this point, that our particular animal control officer stays busy. I mean, it's not sit around and wait for a call. He makes his rounds and everything, he's always on the alert to look out. And especially this time of the year, you get a lot of the animals that's run over on the streets. Even in our area, you'd be surprised at this deer population that he picks up. So
It's, Mount Carmel has one also, but it's just like Mount Carmel, Churchill, you're talking about dispatches the animal control. They get calls in, am I correct on that?
Yes. By the time Churchill's officer goes 10-8 in the mornings, we usually have 2 to 3 calls already waiting on him. Just dogs running at large, cats in cages, so forth.
I haven't received any calls on, say, dogs or cats, but I have deer. You know, when they get killed on the highway, who's responsible for picking them up and so forth? And most of that revolves around rural areas, but, you know, they talk like the roads should furnish somebody to pick those up, you know, but,
That's usually who I've seen pick them up a lot of times. I see a lot of county guys, pick them up, the deer, anyway, or the sea animals, anyway.
Commissioner Allen.
I think last month you said there was over 500 animal complaints last year. There would be more than that if they knew who to call, actually call. And Gay can relate to this, they'll call her office, the sheriff's office, and it gets lost in the shuffle a lot of times. The way the Humane Society works with Rogersville and Churchill, it's $30 an animal. And the Humane Society keeps 2 spaces open at all times for Churchill, 2 open for Rogersville. And Rogersville, I think, brings some of theirs up there. I think they contribute $8,000 a year to the Humane Society. We definitely need an animal control officer in Hawkins County. And we could make room. We probably couldn't take in as many just citizens bringing them in off the street, but we could make room to have an animal control with the Humane Society. And they would be busy. Fred Castle does Churchill a good job. Eddie McAnally does Rogersville a good job as animal control.
Red don't lose much ground, he's always on the move.
He's on the move. I listen to him and talk to him.
He's on the move.
But I would support an animal control in Hawkins County. We desperately need one.
what I was wondering is if you live in a rural area, is there a law, you know, in place now where if I had a dog, is it supposed to be in a lock or on a chain, or can it run loose? That's what I was asking.
There is a leash law in the county,
that's what ties the officers up so much.
And it's not just dogs and cats. We've had pigs running at large for several days. We've had, horses out, cows out continuously that we have to send officers on. We have to send officers on all of that.
Well, it can be any animal that's a nuisance to their neighbor or anybody else. I understand that, yeah.
I do know that Hamlin and a few other counties, there is grants available if, for counties, counties, municipalities want to get together and work on something. There is grants out there for, if, like Danny's talking, in case you had to go bigger for your Humane Society or whatever, there's grants out there on this avenue to get something like that. So that's something you need to look at also.
Who would we see, Gary, implement that? Who would?
That's what I'll have to check on that. I didn't get to the organization, but they said if you do a county-wide thing, you've got you can get grants for it to build like a shelter, Humane Society type thing. Cause I'm serious, I think if you do this, they do great work at the Humane Society, but I believe it's gonna overrun them in a hurry. I mean, the way the calls come from Central, and once you tell people that it's available,
Yes,
it's gonna go skyrocket.
I agree. I was hoping the sheriff would be here to offer some input on that. Those 518 calls that was answered last year through 911, that's his officers that's tied up out there on, doing something that they didn't go to the academy for.
Well, it's nearly 1.5 calls a day.
I listen to Gay work, and she dispatches accordingly, and they stay busy. Jeff's a good sponsor of the Humane Society. He's adopted a couple from out there, and he can tell you what we put up with out there. He's been very involved. He's an asset to the Humane Society.
It's the animal cruelty investigations that they really need to help with, because you can't get convictions, you can't, there's no deterrent for people to do things because there's no legal criminal penalty. They go to court, but it's always dismissed. So it needs to be enforcement. But of course, you can't do that without an animal control officer.
And along with all of that, there needs to be a lot of education. Humane Society tries, spay and neuter programs, all kinds of things, but there needs to be a ton of education regarding animal cruelty, taking care of animals, leash laws, everything along goes with that needs to be done. And this is something that if you did a county-wide program, you could initiate that and carry it out a lot easier than Rogersville doing something and then Churchill doing something. You could centralize it maybe and make a better program out of it.
I agree. It should be the same one end of the county as the other end.
Now we've kind of initiated the conversation, perhaps maybe, get some public feedback and, some feedback from your mayor and some of the BMA members, and maybe in a couple of months meet back and try and pull several of those parties together and see if we can formulate some.
I'll just say one thing, Mr. Chairman, there, in my little bit of knowledge of it, there's a whole lot more to it, as Dr. Jones said, than the public's aware of. And it does take time, and it needs, there's a need.
We've got the opportunity to create that public awareness now, and we will, thankfully. And we've got Facebook Live that we're working out. So
10 people are watching, so.
Everybody can be involved in this process. I know it will be lengthy, but we've got to get it started at some point. So perhaps this is a good starting point. So if there's nothing else to be said about that issue for the time being, final item on the agenda is constable.
I just need to pull that, because I've got some information that I'm waiting on, so we'll just pull that.
adjourn.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn.
Second motion.
A motion by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner Patrick. Thank you, everybody.